Hey folks, welcome to another custom lesson. This one's been sort of requested by Alexandr Nesterenko. I'm sure I butchered that, so my apologies. The reason why I say sort of is because this player requested a bunch of different sort of builds, but as you guys know, I go for specific loadouts and try to showcase playstyles. But nonetheless, what piqued my interest was the fact that this player wanted to see axe and hatchets in a barbarian sort of theme. So that's what I really went with. Now, picking a theme is going to be entirely subjective, so I went for stuff that I felt was animalistic, primal, unga bunga, all that fun business, right? So I went with things that annoyed me or I thought would be hilarious. So the first thing I picked was Masaru because it's a monkey, and it's a monkey that I absolutely hate dealing with anytime I pick a fight with Tokshiro, either form. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to use that as my weapon and annoy all the enemies. We're going to be a monkey. Monkey see, monkey do, right? When it comes to the Guardian Spirit choices, again, like I said, it's subjective, and I could have gone double brute, but I didn't really think that'd be practical, so here we are. Now, with this Soul Cores on here, you get a benefit by anytime you use them, you get increased attack, which is great. So it's like 10% extra attack, which is nice. You have access to purity at all times, which is also nice. And now let's get through the Soul Cores specifically. When it comes to these Soul Cores, I figured, hey, you know what? What is Unga Bunga? And that is Uminyudo. What does it do? It's a waving inflatable arm man, and it just slaps enemies silly. On top of that, it inflicts water and lightning elemental powers. So yeah, we can inflict confusion pretty quickly, and it's a real big power play. In addition, because it's fire and lightning, it works pretty well with the water and lightning, it works well with the fire-based spirit. So I got tri-elemental confusion potentially when I'm in Yokai Shift, which is awesome. When it comes to the special effects, I would advise ranking this up as much as you can because, hey, anima bonus saturated enemy, getting that up is great. So anytime you inflict the water debuff of saturate, you get more anima. And then life drain lightning attack, which is great. You get some life back when you smack them silly. What's not to love? As for the other special effects, I just picked whatever I had and then turned it feral, and that was it. And there's nothing too special beyond this. This core is awesome, and I'll showcase more about it a bit later. But again, the primary motivation was I slap an enemy silly. That's it. That's it, and it's really powerful. And I guess I haven't showcased this soul core before, so that was another thing. Next up is Kiryoki, I guess. So this is my thought process for this core. Monkey see, monkey do. That was it. I could have picked Enki, but I didn't want to jump in the air. I wanted to shockwave people and be like, yeah, that's right. I smash you. I do things. And that was all the thinking process behind it. When it comes to the soul core specifically, it emits a shockwave, which can push targets back and does a great amount of key damage. It is really, really good for that purpose, and you'll see many players use this, and rightfully so. You may recall in the first custom lesson, I showcased Itokuri with Kiryoki for paralysis shockwave, so that's just like another thing you can work with. It's really good, and when it comes to the special effects, well, I didn't care too much about them, so I didn't rank it up, but you can if you have a Kiryoki you're specifically attached to. The super efficient yokai abilities is great, but I just didn't rank it up because, again, I'm trying to showcase things without a dependency on like, oh, I gotta have this specific soul core with these specific stats. I just pretty much want to plug and play. And then last but not least, there is Dweller. Dweller is an underappreciated soul core. It is low cost, low attunement cost, and it is overall very, very fast, which I'll showcase soon enough. You summon the Dweller, who can keep a target in place, allowing you to do whatever the heck you want. On top of that, it has sweet, by default, anima bonus grapple, which you actually don't need to rank up that much. Just an extra 1.2 is good. I think at rank 30, it goes to like 1.5 or something, so it's not like that big of a deal. The most important stat amongst all three of these cores is, yet again, yokai ability Ki Pulse. Everything else is extra, so feel free to build up from here. So moving on to the Brute Guardian Spirit that I chose, there were of course more thematic things I could work with, but I wanted to bottom line pick something that I hadn't worked with. So Okuri-Inu is my choice. It's another animal, and sure, it brings back memories of Maeda, who screams all the time, so why the heck not? Let's just go with this thing. Now with this Guardian Spirit, you have extra anima, which is great. Anima Amrita Gauge Charge, which helps, just means you can get into Yokai Shift a little sooner. You can do more damage against somebody who has full life. And then I guess you have the critical Yokai Shift whenever you're in the Dark Realm, in case you do die there, which it really doesn't happen at all. So not really the most useful of stats for me, but still, it's fun. And let's just talk about the soul cores I've worked with. First up, I have Namahage. The stats are, all things considered, unimportant. Let's talk about the ability itself. It's a great gap closer, and it works phenomenally against enemies that are either at low key and preferably against enemies that have 0 key. Hence why you get some benefits to your stats up here. Soul Core rank you can boost to whatever you want. In all honesty, this stat really isn't too important right now. This is actually the weaker version of it. If I had the higher version of it, so there's 2 versions, base rank it'll be at either C+ or B. This is the C+ version, and at rank 10 you can see it goes up to B. I think if you have the higher tier version, then this would go up to like rank A or A+ at Soul Core rank 10. So it's good to have, but it's really not that big of a deal. Now with this ability, it does cost only 5. And like I said, you do want to use it when an enemy is on low key or no key, simply because there is a bit of a downtime. But when it works really well, you effectively 0 key combo an opponent, and it's really good. Next up, Yoki. So Yoki is barbaric because you use your bare hands and smash an enemy to bits. You may notice a Soul Core rank and you're like, hey, how good is this anima bonus Amrita absorption? I would say it's balanced. It's okay. It's not like super crazy where you can pop Extraction Talisman and then all of a sudden you have infinite anima. It's nothing like that, but it does help. It is noticeable in little chunks here and there. And so if you have other sources of anima bonuses, then it can make a pretty good difference. For me, though, the most important stat is, yet again, Yokai ability Ki Pulse. Everything else is purely coincidental and not something I was chasing. But Yoki is a pretty good core, and I'll talk about that soon enough. And yeah, a lot of fun. Last but not least, though, I wanted to go with something that was absolutely savage and brutal. Because again, I'm going for a barbarian, savagery, animalistic type of theme. And what wouldn't have been more perfect than Tate Eboshi herself? So yeah, there are female barbarians, and she is totally the epitome of that. She is savage as hell. You may notice the Soul Core rank, and honestly, it's not too important. The only stat I'm really attached to is the Life Drain Yokai ability hit, which is awesome. The Anima bonus Confused Enemy is super good, and I would recommend it, but it's not a requirement by any means. I was honestly just testing to see how noticeable it is, and I can tell you it is really freaking noticeable. So if you're a big fan of keeping confusion on enemies in general, and you're able to do so, this is super delicious. Now, Tate Eboshi herself is a widely misunderstood soul core in that, hey, she has a lot of long animation downtimes, maybe there's tracking issues, and while that's correct, this just means you need to use this more intelligently. And I will showcase, in my opinion, what I think is one of the better ways to take advantage of this. So let's just get into the soul cores and understanding how to work with the animations. And so as a reminder, my metric of determining how quick a core is simply by seeing how soon my character will block. And as you can see with my controller, that this is how soon they block. So let's go through each of the cores. Uminyudo, when's the soonest my character will block? The answer is basically right as the animation ends, so it works intuitively. So you slap them silly, and then you can block them. So it works pretty well. About what I would hope. Now what about Dweller? Oh, look at that! I got a lot of free time with Dweller, so I can set things up right away, which can feel really good, and so that's awesome. So there's a lot of combo potential with Dweller alone, especially if you lock a target in place. Now what about Kiryoki? Ooh, Kiryoki is really fast, which is one of the reasons why people love it. It does a lot of key damage, is really fast animation-wise. So yeah, you'll like it. One thing I just realized I forgot to mention with Dweller is while Dweller is out, you cannot use other soul cores, no matter what. You gotta wait until the Dweller animation ends, so use that as a part of, I guess, your information in order to help you plan when you're gonna use it. But it's super good. Let's talk about the Brute Soul Cores. Yoki is a little interesting. If you don't connect with the first hit, which does suck, then you don't have too much downtime, but you definitely want to connect with it. So let me showcase it against a Yoki, because why not? There's quite a bit of noticeable downtime with it. But if you miss, it feels really bad. But it's definitely good in range sort of scenarios, and so that can be really awesome. So yeah, make sure you use this a little wisely. And it's pretty good and does a good amount of damage. That's not something to be trifled with. Yeah, and it staggers too. Against humans, it's even better, as was showcased in the tooltip. Now what about Namahage? Bit of downtime. Notice that? Pop them in the ground, wait a bit, and then I block. Oh yeah, one thing I like to do with the Yoki, I'll just showcase this. This just feels, I guess, it just works seamlessly. Slap, boom boom, a lot of fun. I find that it's a pretty quick 1-2 punch sort of thing. Well, 1-2-3 punch. Whoa, oh, come on, hey, back off, man, come back here. Bonky bonk. Yeah, I can't handle the power of my fists. Who needs weapons? Barehanded gameplay, let's go. So there's that. And then last but not least, there's Tate Eboshi. Let me show the long animation time. Oh, that's a really long recovery, and even longer moment to respond. So as I stated before, you do gotta plan when you're gonna use this. But my advice for that is simply being at a little bit of distance, because Tate Eboshi has a ton of range. Ton of damage and a ton of stagger at the very end too. If you're up close, you are liable to miss, because the tracking can sometimes not be the best, but it is a very powerful core that I would strongly advise that you get comfortable with. Ooh, isn't that dirty? So let's showcase some yokai shift things. So I already have full gauge. Let me show you a great way to transition from normal play into yokai shift. So this is definitely one of my favorite ways to do it. I just need him to be in a good position. All right, let's go. Break that horn if I can. Please, pretty please. All right, come here. Are you kidding me? I am sorry, everyone. This should work. Tate Eboshi, last hit, yokai shift. Ooh, that is sweet. Cancel the recovery frames of that for a nice seamless transition. It is a fun time. Guardian Spirit into Yoki is also pretty rad. Target's dead, because you get those hits and you get a stagger and it feels pretty fast. So let's showcase that again. Guardian Spirit, boom, boom. Charge yokai shift up, use Namahage. It's a fun time. A great time to use Tate Eboshi is actually when your yokai shift is about to run out. So I want you to imagine that the gauge is about to deplete or at 0. Perfect moment to use Tate Eboshi, because sometimes you can get some of your gauge back. But more importantly, the long animation, you have no downsides when you're basically invulnerable in yokai shift. So I would advise using Tate Eboshi towards the end of yokai shift, or when you know you're going to be safe to pull it off. Just my word of advice. Now what about feral form? Feral form has some of the same principles. So let's deplete some ki yet again. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's pop yokai shift. Now the monkey is a free acting agent, so I like to use another monkey. Charge this up. So I like to do monkey into monkey, because it's pretty fun. Oh, I'm sorry, there's nobody there for you. Now the question is, when will I use Dweller? Because as you may recall, Dweller will lock me into an animation. See, I can't use other yokai shift things. So what I like to pair it with is usually a bunch of auto attacks for a bunch of, I guess, keeping a target in place type of pressure. And then Uminyudo is something that I like to work with, again, in the same way as I do with Tate Eboshi towards the end. Alright, boosh, boosh. Keep it in place, attack a bunch, and then as almost a finisher, look at that, oh, super dead. It's super dirty, because you can do Uminyudo with yokai shift, and things just die. They just straight up die, and it is a fun time. Now let's talk about weapons on their own. Just the two of them, mixing them together, and then I will of course complete everything by talking about how you can work with the whole package. So with the weapons, you have access to instant boulder breakers. So if you feel you are committing too much to close range play with the axe, you can always back out with a sheet swap to boulder breaker. Then you can always go back in and then have a lot of fun mixing in some axe-based play. I'm going to showcase some things that you can do with the axe flash attack, or rather how to make it work in your favor. So let's showcase it against this human. Pile shaker, axe flash attack. Oh, that hit! Get the heck out of here, dude. I like to use Sacred Bird Flight for any mobility troubles I may have. Again, axe flash attack is something you should work with, even if it is something you may not necessarily like. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, oh, wasn't that awesome? Titanic Strength. Back out, go back in. Super sick. Super, super, super sick. You should definitely try that. And I find that I switch between these weapons pretty well, and I'm able to really make them work in my favor. Axe is really good with abilities like Rampage. If you're unlucky, you can transition to Grease Lightning right after if Rampage didn't deplete Ki. Let me showcase that once again. Rampage is a long animation. Oh, see, I got unlucky there. Axe Flash. Oh, it missed. It's okay. Let me show you something you can use to help you combo the Axe Flash attack. I know it gets a bad reputation. Alright. Alright. Eagle Shadow. Oh, look at that. Titanic Strength, Boulder Breaker, Wild Surge. Super good, is it not? How's it going, dude? Nope. Nope. Frig out of here. Good stuff, right? So now let's show some weapon-based things that you can use to help you brainstorm. Starting with Feral, things that can work. Hey, I don't like you. Oh, isn't that nice? Ooh, look at that setup. Oh, dead. Isn't that gorgeous? That was so awesome. And that only used two things. Uminyudo, man, I almost butchered that. Uminyudo, again, is something that you kind of want to use when you feel safe to do so. So Rampage can help. And then slap him silly. Hey, how's it going, dude? Nice key you got. And now you're dead. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Uminyudo is kind of something you treat on your own, though. Brute, on the other hand, is a lot of fun. Don't forget that you have the Brute attack on its own. So you can work with all of that in place. Hey, get back up, dude. Aw, it didn't work too well. Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going, dude? It's not. And you're dead. I think I can better showcase Brute power against this Yoki. So let's try this again. Got the long range engage. Oops. Try that once more. Let's go, dude. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Back out. Let's go in. Let's go! Might as well Yokai Shifter for the Namahage. Fine, I'm gonna use Tate. Burn you to freaking crisp. Get the hell out of here. Super dead. This is just like one thing you can do. I'm gonna fight that Yoki again and showing the soul cores a bit more as opposed to just in Yokai Shift. Because of course that's just gonna take a lot of practice. Ooh, ooh, oh, isn't that glorious? You know, I'm okay if you get back up, you know that, right? Hey, let me slap you. Slap you, slap you, slap you, slap you, slap you, and you're dead. There's a lot of creativity you can have, and I think I would probably spend several extra minutes just going through many different permutations of things, but it's pretty awesome what you can pull off if you spend a good chunk of time. In any case, I'm now going to showcase what I think is a good showcase. I just said showcase. I'm going to showcase this stuff against an animal. I'll just let you guys see. Thank you guys for watching for now, and I'll be back with a showcase. See you guys in a bit. Let's go! Alright, let's show the power of this. So, usual jutsu. And one thing I really want to hammer home is that even though I do have like Unga Bunga soul cores and I'm going for like a barbarian theme, it's still important to play this game as if you're just dealing with any other sort of loadout. You need to be mindful of how these things work together. So what are the strengths of Hatchets and Hacks? Simply put, it's just they have a lot of pressure and power plays when you're in close range and can do a lot of key damage. That's just this oversimplified version of it. So I need to play to that strength and really keep control of what my enemies are doing. I have a lot of key damage potential, I have a lot of stun lock potential, and so that's what I need to play to. So you can see that I'm still kind of getting comfortable with how to work with this. And I'm taking advantage of a lot of setup times that I have courtesy of enemy downtimes. I'm not, again, the best with all this stuff, but I'm overall not having too much trouble. And you can see I'm starting to kind of understand how to work with these things, using the soul cores as I've described, using Namahage to get an enemy low on ki, and then I'm mixing that up with my really strong pressure moves from these weapons. So I get a better knack of this with Ippon, so I'm able to maintain the distance that I need with the Hatchets. And then you can see Kiryoki is kind of making up for whatever gaps I may perceive. I use Dweller, I use all these attacks, and it's just a non-stop barrage of all sorts of pressure plays just coming back to back to back to back. And so when those things line up really well, you will destroy enemies. So you gotta make sure that you're not just like, okay, I do this one move and then that takes care of everything. It's, I use this powerful move and then into this other move, into this other move, and you're chaining all sorts of power key damaging plays and inflicting a ton of pressure, even though it may feel a little slower with weapons like the axe. And that is, again, what the axe excels at. So think of the axe as kind of your bread and butter when it comes to really pressuring your opponent, and your hatchets, in some way, it can be supportive. So capitalize on consistent power plays over and over and over again, staggering your opponent to kick serious butt, and using enemy downtimes to set up things that are riskier normally. So that's basically the game plan. And so you'll see me kind of get a better grasp of this as I deal with Nioh, but for the most part, the soul core combinations with these weapons can be very forgiving. And keep in mind, I'm using light armor on an axe, so I have to play somewhat cautiously, so if you decide not to go that route, you'll be okay. So with Nioh at first, I'm like, alright, I'm just going to play recklessly, and that's not the way to go. You do have some allowance with that, as you may have seen that Yoki actually prevented the burst attack from Nioh coming out in the first place. But again, play smart, and you'll get really far with this just like straight up in your face type of gameplay. And it's a lot of fun when you can make them work with things like the axe. In my case, I'm using a hammer, but the principle is overall the same. Nice. Burst attack into Yoki. It feels quite seamless and it's great. And so as you can start to see, I'm starting to link things together so that I can really pressure the opponent. I make a small error in judgment here. I should have used Namahage instead of Dweller, but not to worry because I still have the curse down. And so now I just need to prioritize keeping this enemy low on ki. I took a bit of a risk there, which is still okay. I got most of my life back. Now here's a moment in which I know that Nioh is locked, so I decided to go for Tate Eboshi. I could have gone for it a little sooner, but in all honesty, with the damage reduction from various yokai abilities that you have when you're in the animations, it's not too much to worry about. And now I'm in Yokai Shift, which I'm not able to capitalize on too much, but you can see that I'm able to really take advantage of some of the brute's strengths. Here's where I lose like, what was it, 35% of my gauge, and then I lost like 50% of my gauge really quickly, but I get some back because I'm able to absorb Amitra, use yokai abilities to their fullest potential. And you remember what I talked about using Tate Eboshi towards the end of Yokai Shift, just in case you get hit during it. Tate Eboshi still goes off. Yeah, that's what I capitalized on. And even with me losing about 50% of my gauge, Nioh's life is less than 50% as well, so it's a pretty fair trade, all things considered. Could have gone better, but that's okay. Ooh, and this was something I got a little lucky with, so I'm able to turn the tides back in my favor, using all these constant pressure plays to kind of make up for a lack of speed that you may have when you are playing this general setup. And then here, check this out. I'm going for a risky play. This was a risky maneuver, but I inflicted confusion and destroyed his ki and destroyed his health as a result. So purple Nioh is almost done. And here's another example of a great moment to use Tate Eboshi. Look at that natural damage that it inflicted from behind. And yeah, once I realized that, I'm like, okay, dude, I got this. I totally got this. I was hoping for a cooler finish, but oh well. Threw my hatchets, as you can see, and it's dead. So make sure you are chaining your pressure plays together so that you can kick serious butt. In any case, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.